Dear participants, Helmy Abouleish, who will be the first presenter this afternoon, could not come because Donald Trump stopped so many finances for NGOs working for the earth, for nature, and so on, and for the poor. And so he is in an emergency encounter in Indonesia instead of being here. But he sends warmest greetings to us, and he made a beautiful presentation for us. And the question and answer session will then be together with a colleague, Angela Hoffmann from SEKEM, from his farm, and also experts we have in our audience from the Demeter Alliance partner. So we welcome now Helmy Abouleish, but physically he is in Indonesia.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm very happy to share with you, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, some of our experience here in SEKEM about healing the earth, about biodynamic agriculture, human development, community development, and the economy of love. It all started 48 years ago when my late father Ibrahim Abouleish, a born Egyptian, went to Austria in the 50s to study, to learn, and after learning, he worked in Austria. And in Austria, he was then also coming in touch with Anthroposophy. And after some years of living, learning Anthroposophy, he decided that it's now time for him in 1977 to go back to his home country, Egypt, and to make a contribution to healing the earth, to healing all these huge challenges Egypt was and is facing through an initiative he called SEKEM. What is SEKEM all about? His dream was to establish a model for healing, a model for system change in Egypt based on biodynamic agriculture, based on a focus on human development, on a new economy he called the economy of love, which would not only care for providing products and services, but really care for everyone in the supply chain, really being transparent in regard to the impact of these products and services on the environment, on the society, on the individual human potential unfolding of everyone involved, and would ultimately find the true price, the true cost, the just price for this product. Now, to do all this based on biodynamic agriculture, to do all this based on an economy of love seemed pretty much impossible. All his friends in Austria, all his friends in Egypt, everyone told him that this is not going to work. There is no biodynamic agriculture in the desert. There was no experience in biodynamic agriculture in Egypt, in Africa, in the whole region on which he could build this model. And by the way, an economy of love is something which didn't seem to be very competitive, which didn't seem to be able to establish a place in the market for biodynamic products. And of course, a focus on human development seemed very costly, because human development is not the responsibility of a social entrepreneur, but it's the responsibility of the state, the government, but not an initiative. In spite of all this, he was very much driven by his dream of establishing this SEKEM community in the desert, this model for system change, this model for healing the earth, healing society, healing our relation to the soil, the plants, the animals. And then, against all odds, a miracle evolved. Here, in midst of the desert where I'm sitting, an oasis has been established. An oasis where today all kinds of crops are planted and cultivated according to biodynamic agriculture. An oasis where many thousand people live and produce food, pharmaceuticals and garments for the local market and for the global market, based on biodynamic raw materials. And guess what? Biodynamic agriculture doesn't only work here at this location, but it works everywhere in Egypt. Hundreds, thousands of farmers apply biodynamic agricultural methods today to produce all kinds of crops we have here in Egypt. From cotton to wheat, sesame, medicinal herbs, vegetables, fruits, everything. And believe it or not, these biodynamic products are sold in Egypt side by side with many products from global companies and local companies in 55,000 shops, 35,000 pharmacies, and we are market leaders in some of the categories we are selling, for example, herbal tea. What does this tell us about the economy of love? It seems to work. But besides successful biodynamic agriculture, successfully applying the economy of love, we were able, out of the added value, to create schools, a hospital, a university for sustainable development, and thousands of students, kids, go to these schools and the university and are educated in a holistic manner to develop their thinking, feeling, and actions. And yeah, many people ask us, how was it possible? How is it possible that here at this spot all these initiatives have been successfully developed and that it was really getting acknowledgement from the society in Egypt and globally that the model is working? One of the reasons, of course, is that biodynamic agriculture is just fantastically working in Egypt, and that the biodynamic preparations, compost making, crop rotation, applying a holistic agricultural system has been the base of everything we see here. And it was able to prove that it can produce healthy crops, good yields, but more importantly, healthy soils. And in these healthy soils, we use less water for irrigation than our neighbors, and we sequester CO2 in the form of carbon, which is, especially nowadays where climate change is such a challenge, a very important value added of the biodynamic agriculture. And by the way, we are also able to handle all these issues of salinity, which is a huge burden for Egyptian farmers, because in this hot climate where the water evaporates, where there are always salinity concentration issues on the surface of the soil. And biodynamic soils are able to handle this challenge. So biodynamic agriculture is part of this miracle, but alone would not be the reason for this miracle of SEKEM. it also needed the economy of love. It needed an approach where we are not only focusing on the agricultural methodology, which we are applying, but also on the whole supply chain. We are really caring for our farmers. We are caring for the people in the rural areas who produce our products. We are caring for their needs, for their families. And besides, we are also caring for everyone in the supply chain, the drivers of the cars, people working in our factories, and all those who sell our products in the market, up to the final consumers. And it showed that by caring for their individual human potential, unfolding efforts, the continuous offering of what we call the core program, capacity building, education, art programs for everyone of these 2,000 people, providing them space and time to really unfold their potential beside their work, has proven very, very efficient. The productivity of our people, the productivity of everything we produce here in SEKEM is much, much higher than the Egyptian average. And then, of course, economy of love also cares for the society, cares for the community. An economy of love where we have set up schools for all the people here in the villages around us, for all of our employees. We have set up all kinds of social development programs, artistic development programs. We have set up a university for sustainable development where 3,400 students today are educated in social entrepreneurship, in organic and biodynamic farming, in renewable energy and green architecture, phytopharmacy, physiotherapy and complementary medicine, and many, many other things. And all of them are part of this core program. All of them are exposed to arts, music, eurythmy, painting, theater, poems. All of them can find the artist in themselves. And of course, it needed also a huge effort to develop a healthy, living, learning community and organization. An organization where 1 and 1 can equal 10, where people work together, learn together, and live together, celebrating diversity, respecting different religions, ages, genders, and so on. So, having said all this, I would like to also give you a little bit of an outlook how this healing of the planet, which we have here modeled and proven at the SEKEM farm and in the many farms around us, is currently upscaled in Egypt. In 2017, when my father passed away, the members of the Future Council of SEKEM came together to ask themselves, what are we going to focus on for the next 40 years? And how can this successful model of holistic development along all these 4 dimensions of holistic development, societal development, cultural development, economic development in harmony with nature, how can this model be upscaled? And we basically came up with a vision for Egypt in the next 40 years, in 2057, a leading image where we basically said, if we are able to touch on the lives of these 110 million brothers and sisters in Egypt, if we are able to touch on the lives of the 7 million farmers, the 1.6 million teachers, 150,000 physicians, 600,000 academicians, and so on, if we are able to reach out to them with our ideas, if we are able to inspire them and help them to apply some elements of this model, we can contribute to the much needed system change in Egypt. We can contribute to the healing of our country, of our society, of our nature, of our economy. And so we painted a picture, again along these 4 dimensions, where we basically said in 2057, all 7 million farmers of Egypt will apply biodynamic agriculture or any format of organic and regenerative agriculture. All the 3 million entrepreneurs of Egypt will apply the principles of the economy of love. And all teachers and professors will apply a potential unfolding methodology in schools and universities. And all these physicians will apply integrative health in all clinics and hospitals of Egypt. And many, many more, of course. But this seemed again somehow a mission impossible, of course. And I'm very, very happy that I can tell you that the time is waiting for our model. The time we are living in today asks for new ideas, for innovation, for changes. The future which wants to come is different than the past. And what we could feel since 7 years now, since we are working on these upscaling efforts, that everything we try now to carry to our communities and the society in large in Egypt is accepted, acknowledged, even honored. And we are very happy that now, since 3-4 years, we are rapidly upscaling biodynamic agriculture in Egypt. From few hundred farmers we had in 2017, we are reaching to 40,000 farmers this year. And when you ask how is it possible, it's biodynamic agriculture, of course, which is very efficient and productive, but it's also the economy of love. Because within the economy of love, we, as I have said before, are really documenting the footprint of our products on society, on people, on the economy, and on nature. And by measuring our impact on nature, we could find out, for example, that biodynamic farmers sequester CO2 and carbon in their soils, in their trees, or avoid the emittance of CO2 or even worse, methane, by recycling their plant waste in compost. And this CO2 in a world where climate change is considered the biggest challenge of all can be, if verified and validated and issued as a carbon certificate, can be sold. And hence our farmers can be paid not only for their biodynamic crops, but also for their ecosystem services. And with this additional payment for carbon credits, our farmers can nowadays produce biodynamic products in Egypt and sell them at the conventional price. So they don't face this issue of a premium price and premium market and a small niche, while at the same time still having a better income, a better livelihood, and of course, on the big scale, mitigate climate change. This is just one example how we are upscaling. I could tell you that based on this initiative, we are doing the same with integrative health. We are doing the same with our school system, our education system, our university system. And we believe that out of these many initiatives, based on our daily work, spiritual work, inspired by our religion, Islam, Sufism, inspired by Anthroposophy, inspired by natural science, which is the other side of the same truth, we can develop models and we can develop solutions for all these challenges. And we can heal the world. And we are happy to join our experience with these many, many initiatives all over the world who are doing this in another format anywhere else, also in Europe. I wish you a wonderful conference and look forward to stay in contact. Thank you very much.
One word is very challenging, but also significant for this success, and that is initiative. It was all started by a couple, Ibrahim Abouleish and his wife, and the total committed son, Helmy, who is now chairing the whole SEKEM holding, and then a lot of friends, excited, individually engaged, to help. And that's the way Anthroposophy is spreading out over the world. It is not organized, it is just coming through encounters from person to person.